Hello and welcome to the 2026 forecast prediction video. I do one every year. I realize we're a couple weeks into 2026, but my guides kept talking to me. They had more stuff to say. So I was waiting for them to be finished before I came out and brought all this to you guys. So, yeah, I'm not just talking to talk, just to give you guys a heads up if you don't know me. I predicted the pandemic. I predicted there would be a pandemic in an article I wrote in 2017. And then in my timing report, because I am the world's first crypto astrologer, in my timing report for February of 2020, I'm going to show you that screenshot right here of the excerpt where I talk about a date in February where there would be an event that would affect everyone on Earth. And it was the rollout of a coordinated worldwide sort of response to this illness, and as well as a stock crash that happened. Specifically, I was forecasting crypto. Here's the chart. You can see that's where I was forecasting this, and that's where the drops happened. So I'm not just talking to talk. I am here to give you the information. I am a clear channel because I've done a lot of inner work, clearing out lots of negative stuff so that I can hear clearly. So this is for you guys to be prepared for what is happening this year. I did predict the breakout of silver before it happened, when it was in the 40s, that we were about to break through 50, which happened within a couple of weeks of my predicting that. Then in November, I predicted we were shooting through 60, which we did. Then in December, that we're headed to 100, which has already happened in many places around the world. So I'm just telling you guys this to know that I have a track record. Of course, you can see in the description box below the link to my TradingView chart recording. It's about a 4-minute recording that shows a history of a year of accurate Bitcoin calls. Okay. So what's going on in 2026? I'm going to address a lot of world changes. I'm going to address the political situation. I'm going to address financial changes. I'm also going to point to some of what Edgar Casey has said, because 2026, he has some very major predictions for 2026. So I'm going to give you my take on kind of his overview. I'm not going to go into everything he said for 2026, but just an overview on what he said and whether I think that's what's really happening here. And also a little heads up on other things that Edgar Casey said that line up with what Dolores Cannon also said, sort of major sort of reference points to the prediction markets for a lot of people. So I want to kind of touch base on all of that and how I see it, if I see it as the same or what I see as being different. So let's start with some stuff around technology and AI. Okay, so one of the predictions of Casey and Dolores Cannon is that people would start to disappear in 2026. And there's other reasons for that, which I'll go into later on in the video, but that already happened to me, right? My channel was deleted. So I was already digitally deleted in 2025. We aren't even in 2026. That's going to continue. We're going to see a lot more of that. We're also going to see some pretty big pushback. So there's going to be some lawsuits that are going to settle this. And in fact, there will be very large payouts for a lot of people who have been deleted, inaccurately, in error, right? Or on purpose, by error or for no reason. Okay. So there's going to be a lot going on with that. There's going to be more pushback legally against the digital system. Okay. And the oversight and the overstepping it's doing against our personal boundaries. So there will be certain people who are going to take up that fight and push harder for it. We're going to see a lot going on in the legal system this year, and there will be payouts. There will be a compensation for people who have been harmed in this way. So there's going to be some justice. Okay. We're going to see a lot of justice in 2026. In fact, before I really dive into the justice of 2026, I want to just point out that we were in a 9-year. 2025 was a 9-year, year of completions, year of wrapping things up, year of ending things that don't work, closing out cycles. Those are karmic cycles. Those are relationship cycles. Those are financial cycles. Those are jobs. Those are homes. Those are locations. Those are issues with your family. These are all things that we had to close out in 2025. So things that we did not close out in 2025 will be dragged into 2026 and not in a good way. So these can be behaviors. They can be habits that don't serve us. Maybe we're eating the wrong things, or, some other addictive habit, or maybe we have a belief system that doesn't serve us, or maybe we have money habits that are harming us. These things are going to really smack people in the next year. And I'm not even going into the really extreme PDF file stuff, right? And I will talk about that because that karma is coming around, because the 10 year, which is 2026, where the 9 gives way to a 10, tens, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10. It's all tens in this cycle now. Tens are a karmic completion. Yes, it's a 1. You cannot, that 0 just adds power to the 1. So if you add those numbers up, you're going to get a 10, right? So a 10 year, let's just talk about what cards are 10s in the tarot deck. Okay. We have the Wheel of Fortune, which is you're either going up the cycle or down the cycle, and it's karmic, and it's things coming back around, and it's the wheel goes round and round, right? We're either on the upside or the downside. So that's what I mean by karma. That's also the justice of the karma of the wheel, bringing back the things that we've done to others. So karmic retribution in the sense of return of energies. Okay. So if we've been a loving, kind, sincere person all of our life, not that we're perfect, we might make mistakes, but if we've had the right heart, then we're going to draw to us situations and people that also reflect that positive heart space, right? That heart position of love and kindness and goodness, right? But people who come out of vindictiveness, power plays, control, domination, all of that, that's what's coming back around to them. So, that was last year. We had a chance to clear that up, right? We had a chance to straighten those things out. So here we are now in 2026, and the karma is getting a lot more severe. Okay. The consequences are going to become very severe. So this is that first 10, which is what goes around comes around, and it comes around in 2026 all year long. Okay. So if you see someone doing real well, they've earned that, actually. It's not luck. Okay. It's earned. And someone doing really badly probably earned, especially if they're an adult, right? So there's that. But the other 10s in the tarot we have the 10 of Wands, we have the 10 of Cups, we have the 10 of Pentacles, and we have the 10 of Swords. So 2 of those are beautiful, wonderful, fabulous reward cards. And the other 2 will kick your butt right out the door. They're really hard, really, really difficult. That's what I mean by it was the best of times, it was the worst of times, it was 2026. It's going to be very, very a year of high contrasts, a year of great volatility, a year of great challenges and great gifts and great rewards. So the 10 of Cups and the 10 of Pentacles. Well, the 10 of Cups is the happy family, the generational enjoyment of your efforts, and it's on the heart level. It's rewards, it's fulfillment. There is money there in the 10 of Cups because it's everything. There's this whole family, and there's this joy, and it's the satisfaction on the heart level. Okay. It's not just about money though. The 10 of Pentacles is the card that's about money. It's about wealth, generational wealth, extreme wealth, very large amounts of money. But it is also, and like more than you even are thinking, right? More than you can conceive of. When the seeds, when they do play out, we've seen some pretty big rewards, pretty big, benefits, pretty big payouts in the crypto space, and certain people who were in very early became very, very wealthy. But most people just saw some, okay? But the real people who really hung in there, the real OGs, the real diamond hands who have held onto the right assets because they knew they would really pay out, are going to be paid out in ways that are beyond your imagination. So the profits and the benefits that are coming are larger than we might have even expected or even hoped for. So they're huge, huge gains on the financial level for the right actions, okay, for having planted the right seeds. And those who have planted the negative seeds, those who have planted the exploitative seeds, are going to have things taken. They're just going to have things evaporate out of their fingers. Okay, like some of these banksters are, continuing to do their strategic theft from the public and from the population. Well, guess what? Things are just going to there's going to be some God shots, what I like to call God shots, where God comes in and just shakes the apple cart up a little bit, and then all their nicely laid plans just kind of go south and they lose everything. There's going to be events like that. That's going to happen with some of these, He-Man, Master of the Universe, financial guys, okay? So you're going to watch some spectacular, legendary for the history books falling from grace in the financial sector, in the, our extended, fabulous, amazing, homestead, hotel, 10 of cups, things that look perfect on the surface. You're going to watch them fall. Okay. We're going to watch them go down. And that includes things like our White House and all of our, not just one of our past, or current or, leaders, like a whole long lists of them. Long lists of them. My arm isn't long enough to carry the list. Okay. So people who think they're on one side and they're right, they're going to have some very tough awakenings. Okay. Because the 10 of Swords is going as far as you can in a certain direction. You have hit a brick wall. You cannot go any further. The card pictures a man lying face down with 10 swords in his back. The betrayals, the lies, the backstabbing, the untruths have gone so far that they killed that guy. So that's a death of a belief system, of an idea, of a concept. It is reaching the end. You cannot go any farther. It is done. So people who live in delusion gonna find themselves smack dab up against that brick wall. So there will be various types of results of that 10 of Swords. Those can be, that's it, you're done, you can't live here anymore, even though you're in the delusion that the government's going to save you and get you out of this house or this mortgage trouble, or, we had forgiveness or rent forgiveness or mortgage forgiveness that went on for years and years. Now the bill is due. Now it's done. Cannot continue down that road. That was a delusion to think that something was going to come along and save you. We have to have responsibility. We have to take responsibility. We have to do things to manage our own resources. Okay. So that's coming to an end. And that's true with a lot of pumped up, fake, hyped government spending. Let's just put it like that. Spending that went into black holes in space. Spending that went into things that were off the books. Spending that went into things that were not doing anything that they said they were doing. All of that smack up against a wall. So we're going to hear about it. There's going to be news stories about this much money went into a secret program. And this is what happened with it. This is going to come to an end. It's going to abruptly bring those things to an end. Okay. Then we have, those are thoughts, right? That's the swords. They're all about your thoughts, your ideas, your beliefs. Wands can be beliefs as well, but swords more so. Just the end. Coming to the end. Okay, it's just boom, that's information, truth. The final sword in the 10 of Swords is the truth. The truth puts a pin in it, slices its head off. It's Archangel Michael with the sword. That is it. You're done. You're finished. You're cooked. Okay, it is complete. Complete and total endings with a bow. Okay, that's what the 10 of Swords talks about. So people who didn't let go of the job that wasn't going to sustain them in the future last year, boom, it's going to end. And now you're, in a worse position than you would have been if you thought about it in advance. I'm not trying to, wish bad on anyone. I hope everybody has taken the actions to put themselves in the right position here. That is also the death of the dollar. Okay. I expect the dollar will die this year. That is my expectation. So we could also let's talk about the 10 of Wands. 10 of Wands is often, it's a specific person, but it can be, anyone can hit the 10 of Wands. 10 of Wands is you're just carrying too much. It's just like that last straw that breaks the camel's back. And it might be even the last camel in the caravan that's done. It's over. It can't do it anymore. The burden's too much. The consumer can't handle anymore. The public can't take any more burdens being heaped upon them. Okay. Most people have not learned what they need to learn about how to get out from under those burdens, unfortunately, but it's going to take it to the breaking point. that is the end of it. It is also carrying all your stuff around with you. Okay. So we are going to hear of large waves of people who can no longer sustain a living situation in this current environment. That's going to happen. Some of these people, this is their karma. I can't say that's true for everyone. Maybe people just didn't educate themselves and they are good people. But there are also people who really richly earned this position, who have absolutely been trying to take and take and take without giving anything of value to the world around them. So it's going to be a multi-pronged situation, but you're going to hear about this, which of course takes me to the housing market, right? Which is the housing market. I mean, I said in 2023 in my annual, forecast, Airbnb bust and Carmageddon. So we are there, both of those. And I have those videos still. Actually, maybe I'll try and post them again because they're still relevant, right? Cars aren't selling. Cars are not selling for the prices unless you're like at the top and you're trying to get like some sort of really specialized sports car or something. You can't really, most cars aren't selling. It's pretty hard to sell a car right now, especially for dealers, especially with the new cars that have been really overpriced. So that's Carmageddon. That's already here. It's already happening. It's been happening slowly, gradually, and picking up steam for the past couple of years. And Airbnb bust, which also is a metaphor for the larger housing market. We have institutions who owned a lot of homes, who bought a lot of homes in certain markets, now washing their hands and getting rid of them because they know it's toxic. They can't make the money out of them because they kept pushing everything past the limit that the consumer could handle. So, you're going to see housing prices really collapsing in a lot of different areas. Of course, that doesn't mean people aren't going to still need places to live as much as they can afford them. So there's going to be a lot of rebalancing in this arena this year. The housing market collapse is going to be devastating when it really happens. And I expect by the end of this year, you will see a spectacular crash in the housing market. Okay. I'm not going to give percentages. I'll save that for members, but spectacular by the end of this year. So this year, all year, could be big opportunities for people who are finding themselves landing in the 10 of Pentacles with a lot of profits, or the 10 of Cups, right? With a lot of family and a lot of extended community where we want to get together and put something together. So there can be big moves in that arena this year for people who are set up correctly for it. So those are the 10s of the year. Okay. I'm not going to go into, that's just like a overview. That's just sort of like the framework of where we're at. Okay. So let's talk a little bit. So like I started to talk about technology. Okay. And what's going on with AI, these tech sector, stocks and things are going to start to, by the end of this year, they're going to start to be hitting their limit. Okay. They will be crashing. You're going to be seeing some big crashes, but you're also going to see some weird things happening with the technology itself. We've already seen that with the AI Asian guy. There's a link in my description box below where the post on my blog says who I think that is in very specific terms. Okay. I couldn't say that here on YouTube when I did the video, but go look at the blog. It has the video and my take on it. But there's going to be very weird things happening with the AI and the technology and how it operates, and just endings to chunks of our power grid, ways that we've looked at things in terms of profits and stock market. Stock market's going to have a spectacular crash, if not more than one this year, right? It's going to start it's going to crash. Okay. The stock market's going to have devastating losses. The COMEX is also going to go offline. We're going to have like an end to the systems as they have existed that have been rigged. Okay. They're going to be no more. You're going to have people who have paper contracts for silver will not be able to get it because that's the slamming dead end wall of the 10 of Swords. That is, the corruption has reached as far as it can go. They already stole your silver. You can't get it. They're going to give you, here, have some paper, government notes instead that aren't worth anything. The reason you have the silver is because you want it in your own possession. You do not want these other people to go in there and steal it, because guess what? When things get challenging, other people are going to want it. Okay. It's got the real value. Go watch any old like 1970s heist or pirate movie or TV show, because they're all after the thing that has value, which is the gold. They're usually about the gold or the jewel thieves or the heists. They're all about the thing with value. Yeah, they try and get the money too, but It's because they want the value of the thing. Okay, that's really what it's usually about, because those old things knew that the value was in the thing. Okay, it's not in the paper. And that's important to understand, because I expect the dollar will come to an end this year, as I just said. Listen, we're already in that process. The dollar's already weakening. The rising of gold and silver prices just means that the dollar's weaker. The dollar's losing value against other currencies around the world and against gold and silver. And we are the tent pole that holds up the entire world economy. So this would be a worldwide devastation. And what does it mean when the dollar loses value? It means that we have hyperinflation. It means that it takes more dollars to buy things, because everybody in the world knows the dollar's not worth anything. And it will happen in one big spectacular swoop of the end of the dollar. It will be dramatic, and it will be sudden, and it will be devastating, and people will be shocked by it. Well, as I'm talking about this, I'm talking about the value of precious metals, specifically silver, but gold as well, specifically silver though. We are going to see, of course, numbers going through the roof. Okay, you're going to see silver is going to definitely hit 4 figures this year. All right, and higher. But the what's going to happen and what is happening is secrets coming out. Right, the truth, the bodies, the stuff being excavated. There's plenty of actual like video footage out there, actually, and some people have seen some of the horrible footage about people from various different parties that has been out on the internet already for a while. So, those things are becoming more exposed to more people. And it's interesting because we're seeing it be exposed like on one side of the aisle. That was what happened over the past 4 to 8 years, 8 years really. And then it really started like 10 years ago. And then now we're seeing it being exposed on the other side of the aisle. But they're all the same. They're all the same. They're all in it together. So don't be thinking I'm right because I'm on one side of the team, because no, that's not how it works. It's really all the same. It's really them against humanity, which leads me to another thing I'm seeing happen. So there's going to be some sort of a human military, like a population, like just a basic like humanity militia that's going to form. I'm not going to say where. I'll maybe tell members, but because I don't want to get into any of this. This is going to be something of a battle against those who do horrible, like beyond horrible, like the worst, most horrible things, like beyond anything we've ever seen, like worse than the Silence of the Lambs, worse than any of the, the Zodiac killer, or any of the serial killers who make headlines, or the worst school shooting. Worse than any of that is the stuff that is going to come out. And so there will be a militia that forms, that makes it their job, takes it on upon themselves to commit endings of people who have committed these crimes. When the evidence comes forth and it's obvious, we as humanity will understand that there's no justice in the justice system in that way. And this isn't something I want. It's not something I'm condoning necessarily, although I do believe that humanity needs to be protected against threats of this nature. So there's going to be a militia of some sorts. They're going to come up with a name. You're going to know who they are, but they're not going to be caught. They're going to be really pretty. They're like, a lot of them are military, and there's a whole network of them. They're already planning it. They're already getting together, and the media may call them things like white supremacists, or I don't know what they're going to call them, but it's going to get pretty heated. And when these people, we know they've done these incredible, horrible, horrific crimes against humanity, and specifically against children, when they die, nobody's going to care. We're going to reach a point where people are going to be like, oh, okay, that one's gone now. We're safer. I don't like necessarily, I may save this for members or a private video, actually, because this is a little intense, a little heated, but it's what I'm seeing happen. Okay. There will be something that's going to happen around the White House being stormed and taken. It's not going to happen early in the year. And it might not happen this year, it might be next year, but there will be something where that happens. This is serious. This is internal. And then there's also external threats against the U.S. This can get very, very crazy. It can get wild. And that's going to lead to an ending of the federal level of the government controlling aspects of our lives, and it will reach a more local area, right? We'll have more local governance, which is, and there will be skirmishes in various areas too against those associates of that, two-sided, two-party cabal. All right, that really the people who pull the strings are behind both parties. They're not out there in the public, but there's going to be more and more. This is going to get very intense. But on the local close scale, there's going to be regions of safety, okay? Places of a sanctuary. There's going to be places that are really great and really fabulous. There will be people who are actually very well protected from these events, and they won't touch certain people at all, because this is very much, like I said, a karmic comeuppance for all of, what's been going on for a long, long time. There will be also lots of earth changes, and there will be a lot more natural disasters or unnatural disasters. This is a battle. That's what we're going to be seeing. So you're going to see a lot of more of these kinds of events, like where there's hurricanes or floods in specific regions. You can look for those regions that have a lot of natural resources, okay? Places that have, rare earth minerals or lots of silver or gold, things of that nature that are going to be kind of under attack. These attacks are not going to actually succeed in the way that is planned. Like I said, there's a God shot involved where there's like a whoop, went the other direction, whoop, didn't go your way, whoop, the rug got pulled out. It's going in a totally different loop. So we're going to see a lot of crazy justice stories that are going to happen, or weird things that can't be explained. That was like, it was just an act of fate. It was an act of God. It was an act of God. These will be acts of God that are going to happen this year, and we're going to see them happen in specific areas in specific ways. Okay. Especially this will be connected to some of this weather stuff and some of the, the attempts with the weather stuff to swoop up and grab certain valuable lands. Okay. Also, kind of a big rise in connection with native peoples and native knowledge coming to the surface. That's going to start coming out. There's going to be a lot of really amazing information. Oh my God, some amazing information is going to start coming out. Also, new technologies, old technologies, new/old technologies. People who are recreating technologies that once existed on the earth, they're going to have the freedom, actually, as we move towards the end of this year, to start bringing these things out. I mean, the one that I could just give as an example would be an engine that runs on water, where we don't need gas. Ooh, that's confirmation. When my alarm goes off like that, that's confirmation that what I'm saying is right. So we're going to end up starting to get those free energy things. There's various kinds of free energy technologies, Tesla technologies, water technologies. Those are going to come out. We're going to start to get them. They're going to come back to humanity. Yay! It's going to be good for humanity. That's going to be a real blessing. So this, I'm going to do part 2. So this will be part 1. In part 2, I will go into some more specific predictions around crypto and the Dolores Cannon and the Edgar Cayce and some of the things that were said there that I want to address. This is going to get really long, so I'm going to break it up into 2 parts. So make sure you come back tomorrow for part 2.